First thing, I'm marking 1.5 inch zip allowance, then I'm just joining with a straight line before folding it in. Remember, this paper is folded into two, so I'm basically folding again the zip allowance. After folding that in, I'll just be marking my vertical measurements. I'll begin with my shoulder measurement, as you can see me indicating there. Then I'll mark my bust point. That's my shoulder to bust measurement, so that's my bust point. Then I'll be marking my bodice. The bodice is the shoulder to waist measurement. Then the next measurement I'm marking is my full length, the full length of the bodice, which is 25 inches. Then I'll just be joining that with straight lines, as you can see me doing, like that. The next thing I'm doing here, I'm just placing my shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then I'm adding half an inch seam allowance. I'll be showing you why I added this half an inch later. Then I'm just marking my neck width, which is 3 inches, and neck depth, which is 3 inches also. That's just me joining it together with a pencil before going in with a marker, just to make everything visible for you guys. Then I'm slanting from the shoulder with 1 inch. You can slant even with 3/4, whatever you wish, but mine is 1 inch. I'm slanting with 1 inch. Then I'm just marking my armhole depth, which is the armhole circumference divided by 2. Then here I'm just reconfirming the measurement I have on the shoulder. Then I'm placing it on the chest line, just to get a straight line, just the way you see me doing like this. So for me to get this line straight, that's why I was marking that point. So after joining the 2 points, I'm just extending this line to form my chest line. So right here I'm just marking my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'm marking it on the bust point, waistline, and on the hip line. Then I'll just join with a straight line. In case you're wondering how to get this, nipple to nipple measurement is the measurement from one nipple to the other, then you divide by 2. So from the hip line I'm going up with 2 inches, then from the bust point I'm coming down with 1 inch. Then on the waistline I'm marking half an inch on both sides. Then I'm just connecting this with a straight line to form my darts. The next thing I'm doing, I'm marking my horizontal measurements. I'm marking my bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inch seam allowance. Then on the waistline, I'm marking my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch of the dart plus 2 inches seam allowance, because when we saw the dart, that needs to replace it. The 1 inch will replace the dart. Then on the hip line, I'm marking my hip measurement plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'll just be joining this. Then for the armhole, I'll just be getting the midpoint of my armhole depth that I drew earlier. So I'm just going from the midpoint, I'm going in by half an inch. Then I'll be joining this point to the shoulder, to the shoulder. Then I'll just be creating an armhole, as you can see me doing like this. Then here you are just going to get the midpoint of the chest line and the waistline. Then you are joining that point to the bust point. Then I'm just going to create a dart here, which I will close for me. That will enable me to open the dart on the shoulder dart. Yeah, that is. So here I'm just adding a half an inch seam allowance on top of the shoulder, so that when I'm cutting my fabric, my cloth doesn't have to be too small for me again. So that was just me adding the allowance and Just marking that to know that that's not the line that I'm supposed to cut, but the one on top. Then after that, what I'm doing, I'm just marking the front neckline because I had not marked, and I'm using a different mark pen for you guys to know the difference. But it's not even showing here that it's different, but I'm using a red mark pen. Yeah, then I'll just be drawing in the front armhole again with a pencil. Then I'll be going in with a mark pen for you guys to see. So this becomes the back armhole and this the front armhole. Then that's the back neckline, and the one below, the big one, is the front armhole. So I'll be extending the back neckline to the zip allowance, because the zipper is supposed to be on the back border, it's not the front one. Yeah. Then I'm going to cut this out before I separate the panels to get my front and the back piece. So I'll just cut this through. And kindly note that I'm cutting through the back neckline and the back armhole, not the front one. You cut the back one first, then the front one I'll just trim it out later. But right now we are cutting the back through the back neckline and the back armhole. Yeah, that's what we are doing. So at this point I just remembered quickly that I had not added an allowance at the bottom of my block. So I added 2 inches, as that is just me showing you that it's 2. It is 2 guys. It is 2 that we are adding at the hemline or at the hip line, at the base of our bodice, that is. Whichever way you want to call it. So the next thing, I'm just going to separate these two to get my front and my back borders. Remember, while drafting I told you this thing was on fold, so right now this is that time, the tea time of separating the front block and the back borders block. So what I'm doing here, I'm just cutting through to separate my front from my back. So these are the 2 pieces. I'll just put the back one aside, then we will work on the front one first. So I'll just trim out the zip allowance because that's not needed on the front borders. Yes, so I'll just cut that out and do away with it because we don't need that on the front. So here I'm just getting the midpoint of the shoulder. Then I'll just connect that point to the bust point where all the darts are meeting, guys. The bust point is the point where all the darts are meeting, where they are meeting. Penye zinakutana. Then for me to get the shoulder dart, I'll have to close this side dart. So in order to close the side dart, I'm just cutting one of the lines, then I'll place it on the other one. Just see what I'm doing. I'm just closing this dart so that I can open. You see, when you close this dart, it becomes easier for the one on the shoulder to open because it's forming something like it's bulging on the bust point right now. So when I open this shoulder dart, it will relax. The bodice will then go back to relaxing. Yes. You see, our shoulder dart has already formed. So I'll just trim out the excess to remain with the front neckline and the front armhole. Then I'm just marking the pattern instructions on the bodice because I'm a good girl. So I'm just marking the grain line on which the garment should be cut, then the fold line, That's just to show you that that is the center front line and it is on fold. Yes. So that is all for the front bodice. If you want, you can close this our dart. If you don't like it being that open, you can just, I'm not closing, I'm just putting something beneath it just to make it not remain that open, but it's not like I'm closing the dart, I'm just covering up the dart. Okay, yeah, so I'm just placing another paper beneath my bodice. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our back bodice. I just marked again the chest line and the waistline. So I'm just marking the bust to bust point or nipple to nipple measurement like we did on the front bodice. Nothing different. I'm marking that, then I'm joining with a straight line. Then here I'm just marking 4 inches from the hemline, 4 inches up. Remember, this is the hemline, not the hip line. Then from the top I'm coming down by 1 inch. Then on the waistline, as usual, I'm marking half an inch on both sides. Then I'm connecting to get my back dart. I'm thereafter getting the midpoint of the shoulder and connecting that to the bust point. Then on that line I'm just marking 1/4 inch on both sides. Then I'm coming down by 4 inches. Then I'm just marking those 3 points to get my shoulder dart, my back shoulder dart. That shoulder dart is the reason why we added half an inch on the shoulder measurement. You remember while drafting I added half an inch on the shoulder. Yeah, so that's why. On the waistline, you're going to go in with half an inch to prevent bulging on the dress while putting on the garment. Then I'm just joining these points as shown below or above. Yeah, I'm just connecting that after going in by half an inch from the original lines that I had earlier. So I'm just joining that on the top and on the bottom with a straight line. After cutting the part I don't need out, I'm just marking the pattern instructions because I'm a good girl. Yeah, so that's all for the back bodice. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one, guys. Bye.